Hello, I'm Andres Baeza again, and this is the second work of written comprehension and expression. And as we can see now, my analysis of an article is about the English writing skills of students in upper secondary education, results from an empirical study of Switzerland and Germany. As we can see here, the index is composed by introduction, theoretical background, methodology, results, discussion, and limitation, where I will treat and touch on all things we have to know about this article. We cannot begin this analysis without starting by the reasons for carrying out this study. So basically, as we know, the learning of languages as a foreign language is very important for education, and universities of Switzerland and Germany had concerns regarding a student's level, so they decided to get informed about it and how to improve. So in order to do so, the study is focused on how students' writing competence develop over the course and which points should be reinforced and which ones should be highlighted. It evaluated the relationship between individual factors and systematic factors. It divides into 4 sections: background of the educational systems in both countries, methods of data gathering and measures of writing employed and techniques and indicators, key results for our research questions, and discussions of the results speaking about the implication for future studies. The study is centered on the huge research in upper secondary education in Germany and Switzerland. Focusing our attention in both systems, we find that only a selective group of students goes on to upper secondary education. According to the data showed, 35% of students in Germany and 21% in Switzerland, because of its more restrictive system. This information corresponds to the academic year of 2015. Speaking about the educational standards, in line with most European countries, both set B2 a level established by the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages as target language educational goal for English as foreign language competence at those ages. As we read here, in Germany, B2 is expected to be reached at the end of secondary school, and in Switzerland, as there are not unified national standards for foreign languages, B2 is unofficially set as the target level. Research on English writing on secondary level context is abundant, but if we focus our attention to those 2 countries, it is noticeable that there is more information from German English Student Competence International, DESI. According to it, the 62% of 9 years old students in Germany were able to write texts of level A2 and only 4% reached B2. Meanwhile, in Switzerland, 56% reached the B1 in different regions of the country. As we can read in the article, there are not empirical studies of English competence of any sort of available for Switzerland beyond year 9. In Germany, empirical studies at upper secondary level are available only for receptive skills and general language proficiency, thanks to the C test. It is a test that suggests that effectiveness in English as foreign language is limited, and it corresponds to sizes between D equals to 0,20 and D equals to 0,30, which shows that there is not an increase over the academic year. In Switzerland, natural evolution results indicate that females did better at writing English than boys in year 9. In Germany, DESI study showed that female had significantly higher English competencies overall, and that the gender differences are largest in foreign language writing skill. States that students who had grown up using 2 languages had higher proficiency levels in English, and they have an advantage when it comes to learning in an additional language. During the methodologies, it is highlighted 5 main points. The first one is the 4 questions of this research. We'll comment in the next slides. The study was carried out as a repeated measurement design with an interval of 8 to 9 months between the 2 measurement points, depending on the availability of school for testings. Then, the data collection procedures in the 2 countries differed. For example, in Switzerland, educational departments were contacted for permission to gather data in schools. Classes were selected which had different special subjects. I mean, subjects that receive special attention in the curriculum in order to maximize the representativeness of the sample. This procedure resulted in a sample of size of n equals to 1,882. In Germany, otherwise, data collection was conducted by the International Association for Evaluation of Educational Achievement, Data Processing and Research Center in Hamburg, with consent of the Minister of Education in Schleswig-Holstein. Here we have the questions that we have commented before, and these are 4 questions that we will comment one by one, explaining why these questions were important. So if we begin by number 1, do students' writing competencies differ according to task type? Argumentative or source writing. So what we have to say here is that it was expected students to do better argumentative writing than source-based writing because of the argumentative writing figures in the English as foreign language curricula of Germany and Switzerland as well. So we move on to the second question. What level of average English writing proficiency do students German and Swiss gymnasiums achieve? Approximately 2 years and approximately 1 year before graduation. So a significant number of students have to reach the level B2 according to the Common European Framework of Language Preference, 1 year ahead of graduation. A minority should be still in A2, and a very slim population of students should perform the level C2. If we move to the third question, do writing competencies improve over the course of approximately 1 school year? We have to say that it was expected a modest increase in writing skills over the period of 8 months, according to the results of the C-test commented before. It was expected more or less to achieve an effect size of D equals to 0,20 or to D equals to 0,30. Swiss system is more selective than German. It was expected Swiss students to outperform German students at least in the first data collection. And finally, what is the influence of the selectivity of school systems and the variables gender and language background on English writing proficiency and its development? So it was expected female to do better than males, in line with international research, as we said before. Moreover, according to studies, it was expected that bilingual students may outperform monolingual because of the bilingualism potential. Scores for all 4 prompts were positively correlated with the scores from the listening and reading comprehension assessments. As expected, correlations of writing scores with scores from measures of receptive skills were slightly higher for the integrated than the independent tasks. Significant correlations were also found between schools' grades in English and all 4 essay scores across a sample. Lower correlations for writing scores and school grades were found for German. Students in both countries achieved significantly higher scores on the independent tasks than in the integrated tasks. As expected, Swiss students outperformed their German counterparts in both task types, which can be attributed to the higher selectivity of the Swiss system. Results show that the majority of the students of our study already reached the B2 in the first part of this study, and with the only 35.3% students failing to reach that minimal standards for upper secondary education, and that percentage decreased to 28.2% at the end of this study. This is a positive result as it shows some progress over the 8 months. So substantial number of students reached the C1, and we expected Swiss to outperform their German counterparts. The larger group of students that reached B2 and C1 in Switzerland compared to Germany, seems to confirm this assumption. The percentage of students writing in B2 and C1 level increased from the beginning till the end, suggesting that a moderate development of proficiency over the time. It is shown that this increase is indeed significant independent of country, gender, and language background. The average score difference between Swiss and German students was indeed significant, as Swiss students outperformed German students, suggesting that Swiss students were about 16 months ahead of German students. This indicates that students in both Germany and Switzerland have about the same learning gains over the course of 8 months, starting from different baselines at the beginning of the school year. Contrary to our expectations, gender did not have any influence, any effect on writing competence in either of the models. The aim of this study was to measure writing competencies of learners in the academic track of general education grammar schools in Switzerland and Germany. It is relevant because argumentative and integrated skills writing are key foreign language competencies of upper secondary education in many countries of all around the world. Results suggest that, on average, learners saw acceptable levels of proficiency in the penultimate year of their baccalaureate education. They were able to write English essays that address real-world controversial issues and use somewhat developed explanations, exemplifications, and detail of argumentation to support their points of view. It seems that B2 is a realistic target level for upper secondary schools, and a significant tier of students already writing at C1 level. The students also show that students who did not achieve B2 early or tended not to achieve it at all, suggesting a lack of progress in the group of students who need. The students show that students who did not achieve the B2, suggesting a lack of progress in the group of students who needs it most, should be explored in further studies. These results have implications both for teacher education and classroom practice. Teachers need to become more familiar with the integral workings of key genres to support learners in mastering them. Schools should manage to implement educational programs which are motivating to both genders and students with different language backgrounds. The analysis showed no significant influence of either gender or language background on the development of writing skills. After controlling for prior achievement and cognitive abilities, effects of social background mainly disappear. Achievement gains time period of 8 months were relatively small. If we see the limitations, the writing measures used in the study do not permit a more detailed look at the internal structure of students' writing skills, like their ability to use their thesis statement or to structure an argumentative essay effectively. No separate ratings were obtained for aspects such as force of argumentation, appropriateness of examples, and so on. This study was limited in terms of its sample. Further studies related to more authentic tasks should follow. In particular, we need to insight into students' processes of learning to write in response to specific prompts, materials, and teacher input. So we have arrived to the end of this article analysis. I hope you learn some dates or something about this work, and see you in the next work. See you next time. Bye bye.